The Mine Safety and Health Administration says firefighting equipment shall be of the type and size. We've gone over the types of fires and extinguishers. Now let's look at the size. It's important to understand the numerical rating system of fire extinguishers so you'll know the capabilities of any given extinguisher. Take these two for example. I have a 2.5 pounder and a 5 pounder. The 2.5 pounder has a rating of 10B and the 5 pounder has a rating of 40B. If you didn't understand the rating system, you would think you should just double the rating of the 2.5 pounder. Here's an example. If you look at the label and the extinguisher has a rating of 4A, 40B, C, that tells me that a non-expert should be able to extinguish a Class A fire that's 14 feet by 14 feet, a Class B fire that is 40 square feet, and it can also be used to extinguish energized electrical equipment. The numerical rating for Class A ranges from 1A to 40A. A 1A rating equals 1¼ gallons of water. So an extinguisher rated as 6A would be the equivalent to having 3 2.5-gallon water extinguishers. This small 5-pound fire extinguisher equals right at 4 gallons of water. I mentioned non-expert in the previous slide. You'll see more about that on the next slide because in Class A ratings, there's little difference between a non-expert and an expert operator. The numerical rating for Class B ranges from 1B to 640B. The number references the amount of square footage that the extinguisher can effectively put out. The rating is based on 40% of an expert operator's ability. Basically what it means, if you have an extinguisher that has a rating of 60B, a non-expert can extinguish a flammable liquid spill fire that's about 60 square feet. But an expert, or someone who's proficient with an extinguisher, can put out about 150 square feet. Class B fire that's approximately 60 square feet. Notice the classification, 10A, 60B, C. So a non-expert should be able to extinguish this fire with this 10-pound fire extinguisher. An expert, on the other hand, should be able to extinguish this 150 square foot fire with the same 10-pound extinguisher. If you upgraded your extinguisher to this 20-pounder, which has a 120B rating, a person that's proficient with extinguishers to be able to put out a flammable liquid spill fire that's 300 square foot. Class C is just rated for electrical non-conductivity. That's why you don't see any numbers with the C classification. Class D is tested for individual types of metal and will be rated for a particular type. And Class K is tested using oils. Now we're just about ready to fight a fire. You'll find instructions on the labels of fire extinguishers, but since fire increases in size rapidly, now's not the time to be reading labels. A good acronym to remember when operating extinguishers is the word PASS. It stands for pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. So P is for pull. Pull the pin. The cartridge type is a little bit different. It has 2 P's. You have to pull up on the hose and push the puncture lever. But I want to show you a couple things about this extinguisher because they are dangerous. Always make sure this cap is facing away from you or anybody else before you charge the extinguisher. These have been known to come off and actually kill people. Hold the extinguisher firmly. Have a good grip on it. Some people even put it on the ground and hold it securely. Grab the hose, put the hose in the other hand, or you can hold it with this hand, whichever way, which way is better for you. Push the lever. Always be sure this cap is not facing anybody, and make sure you have a good grip on the extinguisher itself. A is for aim. Don't aim the extinguisher at the flames. You should aim the extinguisher at the base or about 6 inches in front of the fire. This will ensure that you are maximizing the ability of your extinguisher. So S is for squeeze. Squeeze the handle on top of the extinguisher, or if you're using the cartridge type, at the nozzle. The other S is for sweep. When you sweep, sweep side to side and remember to maintain 6 inches in front of and on both sides of the fire. You can advance forward as the fire moves. Now that you know pass, let's look at Class B fires a little bit more, because they require the use of certain techniques more so than Class A or Class C fires. Approach from upwind. Stop approximately 10 to 12 feet from the edge of the fire. Direct a stream of dry chemical 6 inches ahead of the flame. Sweep side to side. Each sweep must be slightly wider than the near edge of the fire. Advance slowly, working the fire to the back edge of the spill. Look at the background and notice how this person did not consistently sweep past the fire's edge, allowing the fire to come back around the dry chemical. These pictures. They all have one safety hazard in common. Notice that they're all bent over. Always stand up straight. Remember the range of the fire extinguishers? When you bend over, you only gain about a foot, so you don't get any real advantage by leaning towards the fire. But there are two major disadvantages, causing strain on your back, and you've changed the center of gravity. So if you were to lose your footing, you'd go straight for the fire. This is a great example of both distance and stance when fighting a fire with a 20-pound fire extinguisher. Notice how he has the extinguisher at his side and he's standing straight up. The Mine Safety and Health Administration says firefighting equipment shall be maintained in a fire-ready condition. Even if you're not the person that's in charge of the monthly inspections, just look at the fire extinguishers in your area as you walk by them. Your life might depend on it being in proper working order. Quick inspections include making sure the extinguishers are in their designated places, make sure that there are no obstructions to the access or visibility, the operating instructions are legible and facing outward, and the safety seals or tamper indicators are not broken or missing. Tamper seals come in many types and colors, but what you don't want is a pin held in by a 40-pound tie strap or a piece of wire. Make sure it's full. Look for obvious physical damage or corrosion. Check the hose and the nozzle. Make sure it has a proper label. And make sure the pressure gauge or the indicator stem are in the proper position. So what is the proper position for the pressure gauge and the indicator stem? If the stem inside the indicator cap is in the up position or the needle on the gauge is not in the green, you need to get another extinguisher or have yours fixed. Remember, just because you started to fight a fire does not mean that you can't change your mind. If at any point you don't feel safe fighting the fire, back away and call for help.